Thank you for joining us. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining us again today here at every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'm Andrea Le, and Dr. Stephanie Ardrey is along with us, and hopefully we can bring you some useful information for your retirement and your financial planning process.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We have a little sunshine today, so although the sunshine is a little deceiving, it's still chilly outside, but I'm optimistic. I heard that we might get close to high 70s today, so that would be a happy day.
It is nice here in Southern California too. High sun. Beautiful day.
Fantastic. So I understand today we're going to dig a little bit deep in IRAs, but you found an exciting article. It's amazing. Retirements and people having to, work longer and come up with additional solutions. What is it that you're thinking about that article about retirement?
Very interesting that you. Yesterday, I was reading through the news and I found an article in CNN uh, for Tuesday. Retirement crisis looms as an American struggle to save money. And, we see this every single day. People struggle to save for retirement and setting money aside for emergency funds and planning in a long-term process. So, as we go to work, we have bills, grocery, car payments, kids, childcare. Figuring out all these unexpected expenses that sometimes comes up, and all your salary or your income go to those, and you save very little toward your retirement, or retirement can be like put it back in the back burner and you don't think about it. But it's for the long run. If we don't think about it, when you hit the retirement years, it would be more and more difficult, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing that struck me in the article was how many people are having to just rely on their IRA long before retirement, which means that they're making deductions, that those deductions are often with high penalties. But more importantly, the fact that there's a need. I mean, on one hand, we saw the announcement that in California in particular, minimum wage was being increased, especially that was considered, a big benefit
Mhm.
for those working in like fast food and other places where minimum wage is the earning. But still, truthfully, when you look at the minimum wage that's being offered, inflation as well as the cost of living, doesn't stop. So even though there seems like there's an increase on one level, sadly the costs are still increasing. We're talking about the cost of food, the cost of everything. There's an increase in all of those numbers. So it's what are the ways that you can creatively uh,
Right.
save, as well as mitigate your tax liabilities and plan for retirement.
Absolutely right. I mean, in the article, they mentioned one of the um, person. His name is Eric Payne, 37 years old, single father to two boys. Now he's making 80,000 a year, which is sufficient, a good income, but it's not for him. Is a constant struggle because of bills and all of these things that expenses that coming up. So it's very hard for him to save, or he has very little. He has less than 10,000 in his retirement plan, which is not enough. If you want to retire at age 65 or 67 down the road, so you expect to put more away. So those are the things that and people in the labor market right now, 75, anyone 75 or older, in the next decade, that amount will be double for in terms of retirement people to retire, but do they have enough money to really retire at that point? Or would you have to go back to work to generate income to pay for rent, for utilities, or things that necessities? We're not talking about things that we want to do, but things that are needed to maintain a living standard. So now, if we don't plan it right now, we not gonna have enough time. And we're talking about years of compounding interest. The little money that you can put away right now, down the road, that accumulate, it can accumulate over time, and that could be substantial for your retirement nest egg. So,
Absolutely.
right, it's important to to plan that into your planning right now. Even you can set just a little bit of it, not a lot, but those are something that you can talk to someone with financial planning experience or advisor that can guide you through this process. If you know how to manage your money and how to maximize potential of each dollar that you earn, we earn with hard work, and we want to put those dollar at work, hard work for us too, right?
Absolutely. And what's interesting is making sure that you evaluate, where those dollars are placed, because you must outpace inflation. And I've been having this conversation, sadly, where folks have a certain amount of money just held in cash in the bank account, and every day that that money sits there in a bank account, barely earning, what, 1 2, if even 3%, you're not even keeping pace with inflation. So those dollars are losing value each day that they sit there. So you really want to find other options so that you can actually have your dollars make you some money, earn you some interest. And there's many ways to do that using safe vehicles, allow
Right.
money to grow, and tax deferred or tax free in some ways. So, it just depends. There's a number of different ways to structure a plan, a strategy.
The retirement savings in the U.S. were long thought just three, composed of three things. First is the American, back then they have pension plans, right? Social securities and defined benefit, defined contribution plan like 401k. But pension plan nowadays is almost extinct. There's, unless those are old pension that you still have them, then you still have them. But no companies now offer pension anymore. They offer 401k because that would put more responsibility on you as an employee versus the employer. Because pension, employer will take care of it. And it's great benefit for the employee, but it would incur a big cost for the employer. So now with the 401k plan, much of those responsibility is pushed to the employees. So the tax liabilities as well, like getting the matching contribution to your 401k, which is a great way. You don't want to miss out that free money, but you have to think of the tax liability down the road. If you think tax is going to stay the same or lower, great way to save money that way. But if taxes going to be increased down the road, then there's something that we need to consider or reconsider to find an alternative vehicles that you can put the money in and get protection, and also earning and protected from market volatilities, especially.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that I know sometimes thinking about these things can be a little either overwhelming or just topics of I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. So much is happening, so many demands. But I mean, I was thinking about just the pace that it seems that each day passes. I mean, here we are already the third day of April. It seemed like just I blinked and we were just finishing up the holiday seasons, and now we're already moved into spring. We've moved into the second quarter of the year. So it's the same thing, each day is rapidly passing forward. And if you have the opportunity to gain compounded interest, then you want to do it sooner than later. You want to take advantage of those things sooner than later. But you also want to understand that if you're in a situation with an organization where you have an IRA as opposed to a pension plan, or 401k as opposed to a pension plan, that the 401k by itself may not meet all of your needs. So you definitely want to explore additional tools in your overall retirement plan. So it wasn't ever meant to replace the full benefits of what a pension plan offered when 401ks were instituted. For some people that didn't get a chance, the one other thing that I noticed in that article that I actually found interesting that they touched on is that the boomer generation seemed to be a little bit more self-serving and took care of themselves, but didn't really care about anybody coming behind them. And I find that that was really interesting because up until recently, the boomer cohort represented the largest demographic that the US had experienced. In fact, when I talked often about how corporations such as like Procter and Gamble were able to launch their business and literally create products along their product portfolio that followed the life cycle of the boomers, from setting up households following World War II, to this point where you have boomers who are, in their upper years, but they're the wealthiest generation. And so with that wealth, if it is, and what's interesting is not only are they the wealthier generation, is not all of them have kids. So what are, the things that are happening in terms of that wealth transfer? So you have those generations behind the boomers. I know I'm Gen Xer, and so on, that it's all about what we're able to create on our own, oftentimes from scratch, not necessarily about what type of inheritance that you have to build from. So with those things being said, you have to be definitely, proactive and aware of it and engaged in developing your own retirement strategy.
In terms of saving for retirement and how far off you are, there are so many Americans nowadays. Only, according to bank rate data, only 44% of adults can afford an emergency expense of $1,000 or more from their savings.
Wow.
So that's very, very little amount that people set aside for emergency, let alone retirement income or retirement savings, right? And also the 401k, in terms of 401k, 68% in private industry have access to the 401k plan, but only 50% use it. So then, what happens to the other 50%? What are they doing that can meet their retirement goals? So, we're talking about individual retirement accounts like IRA. So, what is IRA? If you're not working or you're working, can you set up an IRA for yourself? You can, right? There is a limit of how much you can contribute, but that is an option that you can plan ahead and save money toward your retirement income. That's one of the vehicles. So today we're going to dive more in about IRA and Roth IRA and what are the differences and the long-term implications and the limits, how much you can put in.
Excellent. Well, I think that not only, I don't know how much time we have to go through the types, but definitely, the importance of setting up. So yeah, let's begin.
So, IRA is just individual retirement account. Is a long-term tax advantage savings. So whatever is the money that you put in there is pre-tax. So then you defer your tax and you accumulate uh, interest or accumulate interest over the years, and down the road when you take it out, you would have to pay tax on that. So if you're not working, you can set up an IRA for yourself. If you are working and have the 401k at work, you can still set up an IRA for yourself as well, depending on how much income you have, and there is an income limit. So you can check that. You can Google that online, and that will give you more guidelines based on your income requirements. But for 2024, you can contribute 7,000 into the account, and if you're 50 and over, you can catch up additional 1,000. So that's 8,000 per year that you can put aside to grow your money and compound it. The only thing is the IRA. When you open it, where can you open it? With bank institutions or investment like Vanguard, Fidelity. They do have all those accounts available that you can open up by yourself. And yeah, there is a wide selections of how to manage that money and grow your money based on, the selection, diversification for your portfolio, stock, bonds, mutual funds. Those are the things that you can um, diverse your money out and invest and reduce the risk. But market volatility is something that you need to consider, because it may go up a lot in one year or one day, right? But it may drop the next day. So time horizon is also important. If you in the younger years you put the money in the IRA account, you have a lot of time to accumulate and also planning. And if you lose the money, you still have time to gain it back. We're talking about a span of 10, 20, 30 years. But if you at retirement age or near retirement age, like 60 or 65, you don't have very much time left. So take that into consideration of how much risk you can tolerate based on the account that you have.
Yeah, and I think also planning for a longer life. We were talking about, and I was listening to someone bring up the topic around who set retirement at 65. Of course, 65 was set at a time when people were living shorter, fewer years, and so that may have seemed like a reasonable amount of time. But when you think about it, if you're blessed with full life and you live another
You
60
live
years,
until 90s,
really
right? Or
want to
100.
retire at 65, and what would you do for another 60 years, right? Potentially, right? I think that what keeps you alive is keep by being engaged and active, but certainly you want to have the choice. You want to have the choice about how you spend that time. So, maybe it's, as we say, the second half, but the second half is different than the first half. So you're semi-retired, where you're actively involved in other activities that have been of interest of your desire, and you want to have those resources to be able to fulfill those interests as well. And then when you're looking at, again, what we don't know are what your tax liabilities will be in the future, what type of deductions you might have to mitigate those tax liabilities. And so it's important to consider all of those things when you're planning your long-term strategy.
But first, you need to sit down and assess where you are financially and where you want to be. So first, it's important. Not a lot of people know about ssa.gov. Please log on to that website, ssa.gov, and sign up, and they will give you a projection for your retirement income, or you can check. That's where you can check if your past income are reported correctly as well. So you can monitor the whole retirement process and know exactly where you are and how much you would have for retirement based on the number of years you work and your income. So IRA, again, going back to the IRA, when you establish an account for yourself, it's a tax advantage program, but you cannot draw. You can contribute and you cannot draw before 59 and a half. If you draw it out for emergency cases, there may be a situation that you can take it out without penalty, but before 59 and a half, you cannot take it out without paying penalty of 10%. So there are there's tax liabilities and penalty that you have to consider when you put your money into these kind of account. And then at 73, it's called RMD, require minimum distribution. You have to take out the money at this point based on the minimum amount, because of course the IRS would want their money, right? That's why you have to, a lot of people I talk to put a lot of money into their 401k or IRA, and at 73 they still working because they want to work, and they still earning income, and their 401k could sum up to 1 million or more. And at this point, they don't want to take out the money because of the tax liability. But you cannot take it out. You don't. The penalty can go up to 40%, which is very substantial.
That is a substantial
Right?
penalty. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
That's a huge
it's
hit.
Yeah, so you have to consider all of these into the plan that you have, just so you maybe looking for an alternative options that would allow you more flexibilities, that you can take out the money without penalty.
Hmm.
You can earn interest based on the indexing strategy, that you don't lose the money when the market drops.
Hmm.
Is that beautiful? Right?
Absolutely.
Market volatility is a huge, huge part. If you don't, if you put a big chunk of money in there, let's say $1 million, and at 60, the market drops 30%, we're talking about 300,000 loss. So then how long it would take you to gain that back? How long do you think that would be?
Well, it all depends. I mean, that's a reality. I mean, we've had several of those, bear markets where, again, that's what's happened. The value of retirements have been, significantly reduced. They say, it's only a loss if you take your money out and move it, because then that's at the point that you realize that loss. If you allow yourself to, double down, reevaluate, rebalance your
Right.
portfolio, but keep
Mhm.
it going, then some of those same stocks that may have experienced volatility may actually rebound. Maybe there's a bull market around the corner. However, it's all about what is your time horizon. And that's why you should consider what you're doing today may need to be adjusted in terms of where you are along the journey. That's why it's so important to have, you get a free annual, credit checkup. You need to do a free annual review of your financial plan, just to make sure that everything is where you'd like for it to be, and also anticipate any market changes, any market volatility, and any other factors that may have caused your retirement planning and portfolio to suffer, setbacks or losses.
Just to give you an idea, how much gain you have to gain it back if you lost. Let's say if you lost 50% of your portfolio, the following year you have to gain 100% to make it back. But gaining 100% would be impossible in 1 year, right? That would take times down the road to regain or recoup those loss, and to make it even, to break even. So it's when you have the money in the IRA, the 401k, uh, try to diversify it out. Try look at again time horizon, and also can you redirect. Let's say if you left your work and you have previous 401k or IRA account, you can redirect that account into something that down the road that you don't have to pay tax when you take out the money. So there are strategies that are available that not a lot of people know. Indexing strategies, again, you don't participate into the market. Your money is not in the market, and that will allow you an opportunity to gain when based on the index and protect when the market drops. So zero floor. So they say zero is a hero now because in that particular year, if the market drops below zero, you don't gain anything that year, but you don't lose a penny.
That's
So
the
all
part.
your gains are protected. Um,
That's the most important part, is making sure you don't lose.
right. And also, it's and we're talking about the long-term investments over the course of 10, 15 years. If you participate fully in the market versus the indexing strategies, the indexing strategy always end up higher, or the income is higher than the regular strategy that participate fully in the market, because market volatilities, it's very volatile, it can go up and down. So again, IOA, great way to put away money. 401k, great way to put away money, but incorporate that into your whole plan, and try to redirect some of that asset that you have into tax-free retirement income, or gaining additional protection in event of uh, uh, illness that you no longer can work. And how do you get money? How do you get replacement income to protect yourself and your family in that kind of event? What kind of financial impact your family would experience if you no longer work, if you're no longer there, right? Is So these are the things that is important to reconsider when you're making long-term planning.
Absolutely. It's definitely a way to demonstrate, your, and to educate. We talk about financial literacy and the importance of financial literacy, and attempting to educate young people earlier and earlier in the process. We really do need to, continue in that effort. Hats off to all of those who, especially I know some colleagues that in particular focus on educating young people, because it's going to require a little bit of a change of behavior in some cases. I think I've said this in earlier programs, that it's not necessarily the resources that we have, it's really the spending decisions that we make with those resources. And I just remember my grandmother having lived through the Great Depression and how frugal she was as a result of that. And so I think we are socialized into certain behaviors, in our current environment. There was another article, actually, it was, I think it was a post on TikTok that someone shared with me, a gentleman talking about, young people in their so used to receiving everything, that they are just consumers without even thinking of themselves as consumers, because they've been gifted with so much, that they don't understand the work behind uh, earning the resources necessary to purchase those things. So they don't really value all the time the work. They're really accustomed to instant gratification. Just their wants are instantly satisfied, and so that can be challenging, because then that means that if you're what happens when your parents are no longer there? How do you go into adulthood with the discipline necessary to take on the responsibilities with adulting? And this is all of these responsibilities about how it is you begin to secure your resources. And it was my grandmother that said, if you start a saving habit, the best time to begin it is when you begin working. And sometimes you get your first part-time job as young as 16. And so if that's the case, then it's just learning how to manage your money. And so the sooner you learn how to manage your money and your spending decisions, the better off you'll be.
Yes, another plan that we always want to touch on is a Roth IRA. Is a great plan to put your money away, because it's not tax deductible, of course, when it's an after tax dollar when you contribute to these accounts. But the requirement is you have to have an earned income to open an account for the Roth IRA, and there is no required minimum distribution or no RMD with the Roth. So that's a nice thing about it, that you don't, if you invest it in, you put the money away, and you don't have, if you don't want to take out the money, it's all up to you. And the money in there are earning and compounding interest over the years. And when you take it out, you do not have to pay tax on that. So Roth IRA is a great alternative that you can contribute. The only downside is that you there is a limit how much you can put in. Again, 7,000 for under 50, and if you're over 50, you can go up to 8,000. And also income limit, that how much you can put in if you earn over a certain amount. Like for a single individuals that making 161,000 or more, you are not eligible to contribute to this account. It's a great account, but you're not qualified. And if you are married, then that bracket can go up higher, 240. So then, even if you want to contribute, you cannot, because you're not allowed. But there are plans out there that is called Roth Alternative. I don't know, not a lot of people know about this, and that will allow you to contribute in the money. And when you take out the money, it's tax free at retirement income. And also, you have all these benefits that you can use to protect your family. And also, another thing is there's no income limit. You can put in whatever the amount that you like. So there are so much stuff, so much strategies, or so many strategies that can be utilized if you cannot get to Roth or contribute to Roth. There are ways to choose and explore other options. So if you wanted to learn more about these, reach out to us. We can show you, and we can guide you through this whole process.
Absolutely. Well, as usual, it's amazing how fast our time flies. I can't believe it, but time has come and time has gone again. So I think this was a really informative conversation about IRAs, and definitely there's more. This wasn't an all-inclusive conversation. There's more to discuss, more to learn. We welcome you to ask questions if you'd like. You could send us the email before our next show, which will be next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. You can follow up and send us an email and ask any question. And also you can ask questions, post questions through the comments, through the chats
Yes.
during our live show. And we'd love to have an opportunity to answer any questions that you might have.
And if there's a topics that you wanted to learn or know more, let us know. We can do research, and we can, get back to you, and we can do a talk about it. So that would give an opportunity for other people to learn more about that particular topic.
Absolutely. Well, until next week, everyone, take care.
Thank you. Have a good day.